Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value. If you like making money, just click subscribe. It's a financial education looking at all the undervalued investment opportunities in the world. Today I'm going to present oil and gas. It's going to be a technical analysis approach, and I'm going to show you kind of what's in store for oil and gas, looking at a big long-term perspective, looking at some ratios, showing you guys value and what I would be doing. So here's oil and gas. We're looking at the oil price, the oil ratio, a 10-year yield, dollar, and some companies after. So first, we're going to look at oil price. Now, this is kind of zoomed in on oil price right now. You're saying, well, that doesn't look too great, right? We came on up, kind of pulling back a little bit. Well, let's zoom out a little bit. So we zoomed way out. This is a weekly chart over many years. And we've got this downtrend line. We came all the way up and hit our head on the downtrend line. We pulled back, and I think it's going to rest a little bit, and then we're going to try to break through here. So what I do, given that we've got real estate where it's at, real estate's in an expansion phase. When it's in an expansion phase, it is inflationary. And when we have inflation, usually what happens is you'll see yields go up, you'll see the dollar fall, and when that happens, oil goes up. Right now, we are at that time, that area where oil is going to go up because of inflation. And we're hanging out right below it. And it's been hanging out there for a little bit. I am purchasing some of the companies down here. I'll go over those companies later. And I'm positioning for this to break out to the upside. When it breaks, sometimes they run quite a bit. Or they break through and then they kind of back test a little bit and then they run. So we're kind of at that point where we're right before the breakout. And we're just waiting for the breakout now. So I'm kind of buying, cost averaging into some of my favorite companies in the oil sector. Now here's the gold to oil ratio. This is relative value. I've got some down, we'll call it trend lines and resistance levels all through here. You can see we broke to the upside here, and it really broke way up here. This is an anomaly in history where it's never been this cheap. Anything over 50 is just ridiculously cheap. I mean, absolutely ridiculously cheap. And we came back down. We broke this kind of channel here to the downside. We had a little bit of support on this trend line here, but broke through that. Then we had another trend line here, and we broke through that, and it kind of back tested it. So we back tested, and we're kind of sitting there. I think this thing's going to drop quite a bit over the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And I think this ratio at 29 is extremely cheap. It is cheap for oil in relationship to gold. Gold's cheap to all the other stuff. So oil has an incredible opportunity over the next 4, 5, 6 years, I think, to make very large moves. Here's the 10-year treasury yield. And for some reason, it seems like when this pulls back, gold goes up. And when this goes up, oil goes up. Because oil was tearing it from October through to about here. And then we pulled back, and now it looks like this wants to resume upward. Yields, that is. I think what's going to happen is gold's going to kind of cool off, and oil is going to take off again. So oil's been following yields quite tightly. And if this moves on up, which I think it will, because just by looking at this chart here, I could potentially head on higher. I think it's going to have a positive impact on oil and potentially even a negative impact on gold. The dollar, usually we want to see this dollar go down. It's going to be a nice tailwind behind oil. Here's our upward trend line, broke to the downside, back tested, broke down again. We're doing this chopping pattern up and down, downward. So a weaker dollar, it goes hand in hand with inflation, with a expansionary phase of real estate. And I've showed you through a whole bunch of other presentations that why I think that the dollar is going to weaken and why I think a commodity boom is coming. So let's look at some of the companies. This one's a Transocean, which is an oil service company. They do lots of drilling. Nice big move higher on up. Golden cross of the 50-day moving above the 200-day. We did pull on back some, but it looks pretty nice because we've got large up days and the small down days. I think this is going to head to the upside at some point here shortly, maybe the next week, two weeks, something like that. Here's Tetra Technologies, another oil service company, another golden cross, 50-day over the 200-day. We pulled on up, and all we're getting is a sideways movement. We got a nice big large up day and then the small little pullback days. Another big kind of up days in here, small pullbacks. I think this is ready to take off to the upside here very soon. So I like Tetra Technologies. Centennial Development. It is developing. We usually move in these waves. Impulse move up, pull back. Impulse move up, pull back. And then we've got a large impulse move up for this entire wave, and we've got a little bit longer pullback here. I think we're getting close. We have very small down days in relationship to some of these up days. And I think it's going to run itself out here pretty soon, and we'll eventually head on higher. So I like Centennial Development. SM Energy, it's the same thing. We get these kind of up kind of moves. I think this is one big move up. We got the golden cross, and then we've got a sideways action, and it's this is coming right to a point here. It is literally coiling up before this thing pops higher, I think. So again, I'm heavily invested in SM Energy and Centennial Development, and I haven't sold anything. I'm just waiting for this move to develop. And Petroleum, another one I like, 50-day crossing the 200. This one has a move up, pull back, move up, pull back, and I'm guessing we're getting real close here for a move higher. Whenever you start to compress and coil up, to compress into a point like this, I think we're really close. And it's holding its ground. It's really just going sideways. The shorts aren't making any money here. It's just going sideways. And I think we're going to get a big pop. So in the oil sector, I think it looks good. It just takes a little bit more time. We're just knocking out this last little portion before we move on up. And I've been cost averaging into some of these companies, Centennial Development, Petroleum, SM Energy. I think they're all good, and it's just a matter of time. Is it going to be next week? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. I think when it does break, it's going to be explosive. And I think maybe this summer, I think is going to be a very good summer for all of these commodity type companies. Oil especially. I think with the vaccine, with things opening up, you're going to see demand start kicking on up. And I also think the dollar is going to go the opposite direction. The combination of those two things, these guys are going to move quite a bit higher, I think. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys listening. This is Finding Value.